Good morning, everybody, and welcome to VG Myths, the online internet video game TV show where we force reality to conform with our will. In Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, you play as a morally upstanding citizen on a quest to cordially visit old family acquaintances and request the return of a book borrowed from your father. While at these friendly reunions, we'll have to be mindful of the golden rule.
Yes!
I feel transgressed and violated.
Cooper, stealing is wrong.
Can you beat Sly Cooper without stealing any coins? The rules are thus: grabbing coins is completely banned. If we collect a single coin, we must reload a prior save. Additionally, there's a glitch in the PS2 release that would potentially allow us to collect tons of coins, load game, then grab a key before the loading screen transition completes, resulting in a save file with 0 coins on the counter, but the key we just grabbed in our possession. Use of this glitch to roll back the coin counter is banned. Since, come on, if I let that slide, the semantic police would hound me for life. With the rules set, let's start the run. We could break into the police HQ while dodging the coins in our path, but that would be rude and I feel like showing off. By jumping on the building's edge, we can fall from the beginning to the end of the Paris tutorial, completely skipping the indoor segments. I hope you like sequence breaks, because we've got way more where that one came from. The Tide of Terror intro level doesn't have any roadblocks, but we're going to grab all the clue bottles and get the dive technique at the stage's vault. We don't actually need the dive itself, but techniques are learned in linear order, and we are going to need a later technique. In Raleigh's main hub, the game tells us we're going to want Raleigh's treasure keys from the first level set in order to break this generator. But playing the game might be hard, so we're not gonna do that. Instead, climb up to the guard above the generator, get him to spot you, and immediately walk off the ledge. He'll fire an explosive homing blast at the ground. This explosive blast will destroy anything in its radius, including the generator, opening the second level set right away. If you're familiar with this game though, you're normally required to have every key from every level in order to unlock the stage boss. So skipping the first set isn't going to help us unless we can skip the second set too. Which, of course, we can. There's a trigger inside this cannon that will load the cutscene to initiate the Raleigh boss fight. The game doesn't actually check if the cannon has been unlocked. All it cares about is that Sly is in the cannon. So instead of unlocking it, we just need to figure out how to get Sly to phase through solid matter. And it just so happens whenever Sly falls out of the play area with a horseshoe on hand, the game will automatically send him to the last solid ground he was standing on, ignoring and clipping through all solid objects in his path. And it just so happens Sly is capable of jumping slightly before he's identified as grounded. So all we need to do is set Sly's last grounded position behind the cannon, then jump all the way around into water on the opposite side without letting Sly touch the ground. Sly automatically jumps to his last grounded position, which ever so coincidentally passes him through the cannon and sends us to Raleigh. After a scrumptious meal with Raleigh, we head to Mugshot's hideout for Sunset Snake Eyes. During the intro level, there are no major roadblocks, but we're once again going to grab all the clue bottles and unlock Sly's roll ability. In the hub, we come up to a little problem. In order to reach the second level set, we have to unlock this car. Unfortunately, even if we hypothetically got the necessary keys, the unlocking cutscene trigger just so happens to be covered in coins. I tried to approach it from every angle, but there doesn't seem to be any possible way to get this key throwing scene to trigger without grabbing at least one coin. Sadly, there's no way to continue the game without unlocking this car, and thus this is the end of our coinless run. On the PS3 version. But if we start the run again on the PlayStation 2 version, we can throw that car in the trash. Exclusive to the PS2 release is a catapult glitch in this little corner, which can spit you out ultra high in the air. Land on top of the casino entrance and clip into it by using the roll move, and Mugshot's first level set is skipped. Like last time, skipping the first set is meaningless unless we skip the second set too, which, of course, we can do once again with the horseshoe trick. Get up to this balcony's corner, then jump down and around to the water. If done right, you'll punch straight through Mugshot's ugly mug, allowing you to, in a completely fair and balanced match between friends, punch Mugshot's real ugly mug and move on to Ms. Ruby's hideout for vicious voodoo. At this point in the game, we have a rail walking move, which is bad news. Railways are often the only path and are littered with coins. We'll need to do some pretty tricky jumps around them, but the intro level is still totally doable with enough patience. We could technically do a sequence break past most of this level, but I went the long way around to grab every clue bottle for Dev Cooperenda's slow motion jump technique. Sorry to disappoint if you wanted me to beat this entire game without, playing it. But we can't clip into Ms. Ruby's boss fight, meaning we have to visit every individual level and get every key. That's not to say we'll actually, be playing every individual level. We can skip Lair of the Beast by jumping up this wall near the beginning of the level, then following it along a while until the level's goal. In Descent into Danger, we're normally forced to climb sideways along these poles that are littered with coins. But abusing Horseshoe Invulnerability frames, we can jump on the spiked platform instead, then jump up to a wooden beam to skip a huge portion of the level. From there on, it's a cakewalk. The other levels either don't have any major roadblocks or don't even have coins to begin with, letting us share our favorite musical selections with Ms. Ruby and move on to Panda King's hideout for Fire in the Sky. The intro level features this coin-littered tower that we normally need to sneak around to hit the fireworks on the second floor, but there's nothing stopping us from just jumping up and hitting them from below. Once again, we can't clip into the Panda King boss fight, so we'll have to play every level here and obtain every key. The good news is, that's all we have left. Once we reach Panda King, the rest of the game is almost entirely coinless. You'd have to actively go out of your way to grab any. So these 6 levels are our final roadblocks. But they just so happen to be our biggest roadblocks yet. Meet the Flaming Temple of Flame, otherwise known as Scrooge McDuck's swimming pool. Right at the beginning of the level is a grind rail with 4 coins in a row. You'd think we'd be able to just jump over all 4 coins at once, but the game disagrees. If we try to jump over this rail, the game will believe we've entered a death barrier, forcing us back. I tried jumping in between the coins, which might be doable, but would take crazy precise timing to avoid the death barrier and still manage not to land too close to a coin. But what if I told you we could grind along the entire rail without jumping off and without touching a single coin? Impossible, right? Not quite. You see, when Sly grinds a rail, he doesn't always land in exactly the same position. I'm not sure why it happens, but if we grab the nearby pipe, then immediately jump over to the rail, Sly will abandon the laws of physics and grind on the air instead, zooming right past all 4 coins. A bit further in the level is this cliffside, which looks slightly more impossible than I'm willing to risk my life on. Backtracking a bit though, we come to these hooks, which just happen to be attached to a ceiling littered with holes. Swing just right and you can jump through these holes, skipping the entire temple. Soon after are these poles littered with coins. Rather than climbing them, we can take this side path that normally leads to a dead end with some bottles. But with some careful jumping, we can walk on top of the level boundary, letting us jump down past the earlier ledge. We're almost to the end of the level. We just need to do some careful jumps around this cliff edge, and greeting us on the other side is the physical embodiment of suffering. 2 poles covered in coins. When Sly climbs a pole, he'll position himself on whatever side the devs set as the pole's front, which just so happens to be the side these coins are on. There's no alternate path up, no sequence breaks. As far as the laws of physics as we understand them are known, in order to beat this level, the player must climb these coin-littered poles. Sorry everybody, but the Sly 1 Upstanding Citizen run isn't over yet. See, Sly is capable of jumping while climbing poles, starting from the exact moment his cane latches on. You don't need to wait until he's pulled over to the side he normally climbs from. This means it's technically possible with ludicrous divine timing to latch onto the pole, jump off, then latch on again, over and over, ascending the pole without touching the coins. And remember that third ability we got? The slow-mo jump. Mash X, press triangle and circle simultaneously, repeat, 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 all the while controlling your position to be just close enough to the pole to latch on immediately, but just far enough you don't get pulled into the coins. Using this super tricky technique, we climb up both poles in one go without touching a single coin, finishing the Flaming Temple of Flame once and for all. There's just one more Panda King key left, but to get to it, we'll have to beat the final boss of the coinless run, Inspector Carmelita Fox. Would you believe she's trying to arrest the absolutely honest Sly Cooper for the bogus charge of theft I have half a mind to lodge a formal complaint, but we don't have time for that right now. Carmelita fires a shock pistol that destroys panels on the ground, raining coins all around us and forcing us not to retrace our steps. Along the way is this pit with 2 firework spires. The devs intend on us spire jumping across, but both spires have coins on top. Unlike the coins on poles, we can't jump before touching the coins on these spires, so our only hope is finding an alternate method across. This wooden beam on the left side looks promising, but Sly doesn't like the idea of standing on it. There is, however, one more path, only accessible if we take the right approach. When we approach, there's a wall next to the lanterns, but Carmelita destroys it as soon as we pass a certain threshold. But Carmelita has a wind down animation whenever she fires her gun. Wait for the exact moment she fires to pass the threshold. You'll have just enough time to reach the wall, at which point she decides to take the approach of yelling at you until you die. It doesn't work. With a bit more tricky platforming and one more slow-mo pole climb, we can reach the end of the stage, calmly clear up the misunderstanding, enjoy a fireworks show with Panda King, casually walk through the minigame onslaught, and burn Clockwork alive in an excruciatingly painful but ultimately polite lava bath. The Sly Cooper Upstanding Citizen run is mission complete. Before we head out, credit goes to the world record Sly 1 any % speedrunner Smoothie, whose run was used for reference, as well as another Sly speedrunner, Surreal, who made a few tutorial videos about the early tricks a couple years ago. And finally, shout out to all my Patreon samurai, including Eric Flynn, Leslam, Hyperscrub ZO, RB Drock, Zalin O, Mr. Harry Wonka, Mrs. Seckman, Andrew Seibert, K. Gordon, Alexander Botkin, Anu, Mason 2K, JD, Robert B. Brashier, Ross Clark, Codexo, That One Guy 28, Ikarira, Salieri, Jez, Meta64, Zainabane, Citrus Lush, King Tom Nook, and Cool Monkey 666. You come to my video, tell me how much it sucks in my comments. I feel transgressed and violated. Get out of my house.